All right, let's jump right in, folks. Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're going to tackle something pretty huge happening down south, something that could shake up the whole world of soccer.
Yeah, I'd say shake up is the right term.
We're talking Liga MX, of
Nice.
course, big league, massive fan base, especially here in the U.S., but it operates way differently than, say, the Premier League, right?
Different structure, different history.
So what happens when you throw in a huge chunk of cash from private equity, and even the NFL wants a piece of the action?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And it's not just about a few extra bucks for jerseys and stadiums. We could be talking about reshaping the entire league, how teams earn money, how young players develop, the whole nine yards.
Exactly. And we're going to unpack all of that, the good, the bad, the potentially game-changing. But first, let's rewind a bit. Back in 2022, the private equity firm Apollo Global Management came knocking with a pretty hefty offer, right?
That's right, $1.25 billion to be exact. But their target wasn't the league itself, it was a share of the international media rights.
Okay, so broadcasting rights, that's where the big money is. But there was a catch, wasn't there?
Oh, a big one. For Apollo to invest, Liga MX teams would have to agree to centralize those rights. Basically, give up individual control over their broadcasting deals.
So help me understand this. Like, I'm a team owner. Let's say I'm Chivas, right?
Yeah.
Big club, huge following, already got a sweet US TV deal. Why would I want to give that up?
Well, think of it this way. Right now, it's every team for themselves when it comes to negotiating TV deals. Centralization means the whole league negotiates as one unit, potentially scoring a way bigger overall deal.
So instead of everyone fighting for crumbs, they're aiming for a whole loaf of bread.
Exactly. But the question is, how would that loaf be sliced up? Would the big clubs like Chivas actually end up with the bigger piece than they have now? Or would they lose some of their negotiating power? It's a gamble for sure.
Definitely a gamble. And to make things even spicier, we now have the NFL showing interest. We know they're all about growing internationally, but this feels different. What's their game plan here?
Yeah, it's intriguing, isn't it? The NFL is already massively popular in Mexico. This isn't just about adding a few more fans to their base. It's got to be something more strategic.
Right, they're thinking long term, aren't they?
Absolutely. They could be looking to leverage Liga MX's infrastructure, tap into its passionate fan base, maybe even secure better broadcasting deals themselves.
A win-win, maybe.
Hmm.
More exposure for Liga MX, a stronger foothold for the NFL in Mexico. But let's not forget about Apollo's initial offer. It wasn't just about media rights, was it?
You're right. They also proposed investing in club infrastructure, academies, things that could really boost the quality of the league overall. Sounds great on paper, right?
It does, but the devil's always in the details. Will these investments actually reach all teams? Or will the big clubs just get richer while the smaller ones struggle to keep up?
That's the big question, isn't it? And that's what we're going to dig into after the break.
We'll be right back, folks, so don't go anywhere.
Okay, we're back and ready to dive deeper into the potential consequences of this deal. Let's start with the teams themselves. How do you think this could play out for both the giants of Liga MX and, well, the underdogs?
Yeah, good point. It's not a one-size-fits-all situation, is it?
Right.
For the big guys, like your Club Americas, Tigres, the ones already raking it in with sponsorships and TV deals, it could feel like a bit of a power grab.
Yeah, I can see that.
They're used to calling the shots,
Right.
and now they might have to share a piece of their pie, so to speak.
And you know those teams, they're not going to give that up without a fight. But is there any upside for them in this whole centralization thing? Could they actually come out ahead?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Even though they're giving up some individual control, if the league as a whole becomes more valuable, their slice of a bigger pie might actually be bigger than what they're getting now.
Okay, so it's kind of a calculated risk.
Exactly.
Right?
A calculated risk.
They're betting on the whole league growing.
Exactly. All right. So there's potential for the big clubs to benefit. But what about those teams that are, struggling to stay afloat? The ones fighting for scraps under the table. Could this be their chance to climb the ladder?
This is where it gets really interesting. Imagine a team like, say, Puebla or Tijuana.
Yeah.
They've got passionate fans, but they're working with limited resources.
Right. Right.
This investment could be transformative for them. Upgraded training facilities, top-notch youth academies, maybe even the ability to attract better talent.
So they could potentially build their own versions of, like Pachuca's Academy,
Exactly.
the one that developed players like Herving Lozano, who went on to play for Napoli in Europe.
Exactly. That's a game changer, not just for individual clubs, but for Mexican soccer overall.
Right. If those lower-ranked teams become more competitive, the whole league gets more exciting.
Exactly. A rising tide lifts all boats.
Okay, I like that. More competitive matches, more homegrown talent. But let's be realistic. There are always downsides to these kinds of deals. What are the potential pitfalls? What should we be wary of?
Yeah, it's not all sunshine and roses, that's for sure.
Right.
One concern is that this influx of money could actually widen the gap between the haves and have-nots.
That's what I see.
If the distribution of resources isn't carefully managed, we could see a scenario where the rich get richer and the poor get poorer.
Kind of like what's happened in some European leagues where a handful of elite clubs just dominate year after year.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we want to avoid. Another concern is the potential for cultural clashes.
Oh, right.
We're talking about outside investors, particularly the NFL, which comes from a very different sporting culture.
Yeah, totally different.
And this could lead to disagreements about the direction of the league.
It could dilute what makes Liga MX so unique.
Exactly. We don't want to lose that heart and soul, that passion that makes Liga MX so special.
Right. It's about finding that balance, embracing the investment and the expertise without sacrificing the essence of Mexican soccer. Speaking of which, let's talk about the fans. How could this deal impact their experience?
Well, imagine a Liga MX where every stadium is a modern marvel.
You're good.
Cutting-edge technology, interactive fan zones.
Yeah, I like that.
Bringing fans closer to the action. Clubs investing in digital platforms that connect supporters around the world.
Right, building a global community.
Exactly. A global community of passionate fans. It's more than just watching a game.
It's an experience.
Exactly. And with a more competitive league and a stronger national team, imagine the atmosphere in those stadiums when Mexico takes the field.
Yeah, whether it's a World Cup qualifier or a friendly against a global powerhouse.
Right.
Speaking of the World Cup, that dream is something else, isn't it?
It is.
Mexican fans are some of the most passionate in the world. Could this investment finally be the key to unlocking Mexico's full potential on the world stage?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And it's one we'll explore in detail right after this.
We're back, and, we got to talk about the big one, the World Cup. I mean, every Mexican soccer fan dreams of seeing El Tri lift that trophy. Could this be the investment that finally gets them there?
Whoa. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. On the World Cup, that's a whole other beast.
Right.
It's not just about money. It takes generations of talent.
Yeah.
A solid system. And let's be honest, a little bit of luck, but this investment could definitely set the stage for something special.
So it's more about building a foundation for long-term success.
Exactly. Think about it. Those investments in youth academies, training facilities, if those start paying off, we could see a wave of insanely talented Mexican players coming up.
Players who can compete in Liga MX for sure, but also make a real impact in Europe.
Right. We've seen glimpses of that already, but this could take it to a whole new level.
Imagine instead of a few Mexican players scattered around Europe,
Right.
you've got a whole squad playing at the highest level week after week. That experience, that's invaluable for the national team.
Absolutely. They'd be pushing each other, raising the bar for Mexican soccer.
Iron sharpens iron, as they say. And hey, maybe one day we'll even see a Mexican player winning the Ballon d'Or.
Wouldn't that be something?
That would be incredible. But, it's not just about individual awards or even winning trophies. It's about building a sustainable future for Mexican soccer as a whole.
Exactly. Creating an ecosystem where talent is nurtured, clubs are financially stable, and Liga MX becomes a global force.
A league that can compete with the best in the world. That's the dream.
It is. And that kind of transformation, it doesn't happen overnight. It takes time, patience, collaboration from everyone involved.
It feels like we're at a crossroads.
Yeah.
A new era for Mexican soccer is beginning. But there are so many questions still unanswered.
So many. Will Liga MX seize this moment? Will the investment reach every corner of the game? And will that unique spirit of Mexican soccer survive?
Only time will tell. But this is going to be one heck of a ride, and we'll be watching every step of the way. To all our listeners out there, keep those conversations going. What excites you about this deal? What worries you? The future of Mexican soccer is in everyone's hands.
This is a story that goes way beyond the game itself. It's about ambition, opportunity, and the power of sport to unite and inspire.
Well said. That about wraps up our deep dive into the future of Liga MX. Thanks for joining us, folks. And keep that passion for the beautiful game alive. We'll see you next time.